Welcome to our Speaker Spotlight conversation. I'm Brandon Taylor for Information Week. I'm connecting today with Rob Ferrill, who is currently the CISO for the University of Alabama at Birmingham. Rob is a graduate of Auburn University with a Bachelor of Science in Management Information Systems. Rob has 30 years of experience in IT, with the last 23 being focused on information security. Rob has also been in his current role as the CISO for a large university since the beginning of 2019. Prior to that, he held the CISO and HIPAA security officer position for a large health system for over 3 years. And he was also the chief security officer and HIPAA security officer for another healthcare company for over 7 years prior. Rob will be the featured keynote speaker presenting during the opening session, beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern, detailing innovation and cyber resilience. And again, his presentation will be sponsored by NetSpy and broadcast by Information Week. And so the Speaker Spotlight is a place where I like to allow our featured keynote speakers to introduce themselves and then also give us a small preview of what to expect from their presentations. So welcome, Rob. Thank you for joining me today. I'd also like to thank you for your service to our country as a U.S. Navy Reserve. And so will you just tell us more about your background and your rise in the tech industry, beginning as a server engineer?
Yeah, absolutely, Brandon. Thanks for having me. And I look back on my military days with fondness. You know, that was a lifetime ago, it seems like, but I'm grateful that I got to do that. And I was a hospital corpsman, by the way, in the reserve. So that is interesting how my early part in healthcare, so to speak, kind of transitioned into my IT career in healthcare. So that's pretty interesting. But my first job out of college was just really doing desktop support. I don't think my resume actually goes that far back because it's so far, but I did do desktop support just to get my hands in the industry right out of college, and that was for a local coal mining company here in town. Along the way, I learned, excuse me, I learned some server administration, and then moved to a bank after the coal mining job doing the server admin type stuff. So shortly after that, my original employer hired me back to do help desk administration, to oversee their help desk, and they offered to pay for me to get certified under the Microsoft MCSE certification. I think that one is still around, but it's an old one. It's been around for a long time. So after that, I broadened my experience and got some training with Unix administration. I was able to get some training with doing network administration, and that led me to around the late 90s, like around 99, I was able to get a job in a .com. That was really when the whole .com thing kind of took off in the late 90s. And like a lot of the .coms, this one turned into a .bomb. So it didn't last very long. It lasted for a couple of years, but that's where I had gotten my first experience as a security engineer. And security there weren't a whole lot of security jobs back in the early 2000s that, these have really come along more recently, but I was able to get another job at that point as a server admin with that healthcare company that you mentioned, that's here in town. And I stayed with them for a total of 14 years. So that was a long run with them. But just after I had gotten hired there, they hired their first chief security officer. And
Wow.
he found out that I had experience with security, and he brought me onto the security team kind of as the first security engineer. And being the senior guy, as the team grew, I was able to become a manager and then a director. And then when he left in 2008, that's when I got promoted to his role as the CSO. And so that was my first experience as a chief security officer about 15 years ago. So after that, I was hired by another healthcare company, and it's, as you know, I work for UAB, but this was for UAB Medicine. So I was CISO at UAB Medicine for about 3 years before I moved over to the university, where I've been now for almost 5 years as the CISO. And I really feel like that breadth of experience is what allowed me to move into my first role as a chief security officer. So I'm thankful to have been able to do that all those years.
And Rob, I know the university environment can be complex with so many administrators and students requiring remote access to various types of data, platforms, and systems, generally utilizing both 5G and Wi-Fi connections. What is your approach to ensuring campus-wide security awareness, and how have you built that culture at UAB?
Yeah, so we've approached security awareness from a number of different angles. We feel like there's so many different ways that people get information that we kind of have to cover all of those to get our message out. Um,
Right.
I'd say the first thing that we do, we have an annual security awareness training program that people have to go through every year. And we update that each year so that more current and relevant data or information gets included in that training. And that training is also required for new hires. So when you first come on as an employee, you have to go through that as well. Second thing we do, we've got these digital displays, or really just kind of big televisions that are mounted in all of the buildings around the campus. And so if we need to get a message out quickly to the masses, as people walk by these screens in their buildings, they can kind of see urgent things that we might need to put out.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be an urgent message. We can just put recurring, relevant awareness things that we want to disseminate. The third thing we do, we have newsletters that go out over email, and we also have social media, Facebook and what used to be known as Twitter,
Right.
um, all of the Instagram, all of the different social medias that are out there. We utilize that as well because that's more of a younger generation way of getting information. So we utilize that. And then one of the fourth items that we do, we take advantage of the National Cybersecurity Awareness Month in October to kind of blitz the employees, the faculty and staff and students with all of the things that we need to educate them on that are current. This year we did a program called Slices with Security,
Okay.
where we handed out pizza to the first 200 people that showed up to the event, and basically they could spin a wheel that would land on a particular type of data, and they would need to tell us what classification that data fell under. Because we at UAB we have three classes of data. We have public, sensitive, and restricted data. So when they spun the wheel, it would land on a particular item. Let's just say like a credit card number, and that would obviously be a restricted data type. So if they answered correctly, and we would give them hints and help them through that, but if they answered correctly, they would get a prize and then some pizza. We also had our mascot, the UAB football or sports mascot there. His name is Blaze the Dragon, and he came out and helped us promote that event as well. So we have a lot of different ways that we promote security awareness.
The information security teams that you've been tasked with leading have been responsible for developing, maintaining, overseeing, and operating security tools, processes, and policies. So, in your opinion, what sets cyber resilience apart from overall operational resilience?
Yeah, so I think really, if you look at the word resilience, I think that is being able to recover from any adverse event. I mean, that could be a hurricane, a tornado, any type of weather event. It could be a power outage, or it could be a cyber event. So, like a ransomware or some other type of destructive type of wiper malware that a lot of organizations have been through. Um, but I think being able to recover, withstand and recover from a cybersecurity related attack is really what sets those apart, and it requires excellence in things like backups. I mean, backing up your data is it sounds pretty simple, but there are mechanisms that these criminals have implemented to even thwart a good backup. So you got to implement things like immutable backups. That's a backup that can't be changed or stored in an offline way that backup can't be touched by an attacker, even if they're on your network. And then you've got to think about things like testing. You've got to test those backups to make sure that they are that they're good, that they're usable. So you got to go through this testing process to make sure not only have you backed it up and it's immutable or it can't be changed, but that you can recover with that backup, or you can restore that backup and get to functioning the way you were before that event.
Thank you again for your time today, and we look forward to watching your keynote presentation beginning Wednesday, November 29th at 1 p.m. Eastern, detailing innovation and cyber resilience. This keynote will be a part of our upcoming live webinar presented by Information Week and sponsored by NetSpy, again, beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern. So make sure to register for this live webinar at the link within the description box below this video so you don't miss this wonderful event that we have planned for you all. My name is Brandon Taylor for Information Week, and this has been our Speaker Spotlight with Rob Ferrill.